Hello, Monday. It's cold. It's supposed to get cold. I got to remember to turn the water on. Um, it's been a slow Monday. Um, I guess Oreo, the pit bull, stray pit bull dog. Well, she was. She used to be a pet to this guy. But anyway, I guess she's out having her puppy because her previous puppy, Polly, she looks very lonely. She got some leftover oatmeal from me. But I was listening to something about globalization, and I was also listening to the president and a few other people talk about the terrorist attack that was threatened on the Mall of America. You know, you got which is weird. The Mall of America, really? I don't believe it at all. I just really don't. Is because first of all, like if it's inland, most of the people. Well, I guess if they're more like Caucasian, they'll probably have a lot of guns. Even, you know, I'd be happy just if we could get back to a few more of our constitutional rights, but I don't know. I don't believe we're gonna have a terrorist attack in the mall. I just don't. I don't see where. I guess they did it in Africa, but I don't see that happening here. I won't tell you what I see as being attacked, 'cause you know. But it wouldn't be that area, but it would be a area in that range was mostly. I think basically what they're trying to say is they're going to attack a white. You know, I mean, and like I don't really believe that we have a terrorist problem as much as we have been made them, because like I know that you're being harassed and bullied by some people that don't want to take the blame for their actions, that it seems futile. So to really communicate with them any other way. But you have to remember that like there's Arabs in the Middle East and all of them, they're very young. Their parents they're very young because of war, because war is murder. It's just a form. They go by how many. You win by like blasting out everything, and and these countries don't have the money like Germany or Britain did. And the main reasons why is because you can look at Hades and stuff, where they have gotten loans from like to finish off the war, and then they never been able to pay it off. So and I don't see how it benefited the banks at all, except for I guess they just keep a black a country, a race from progressing. And then if you take in consideration that that they're young, that they've probably seen a lot of death, that the elder people around them might have disfigurements, missing limbs, or and stories of the war, and so not only do they get to see it firsthand themselves, they hear stories about it, and then they actually had the experience of having American troops over there. And I know from my own experience, when you're around certain minded, especially Caucasian, they what I'm saying, they think that it's okay to behave a certain way, but when they're not around the people they're like-minded, it just comes off as very ignorant and hostile. So them being exposed to American races, probably by them being over there, especially the ones that think they're really being nice, by interacting Because like you know what I'm saying, especially children are more in tune to the phoniness, and I just think it's a survival thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that the children of Arabs or Muslims are any different than any other child starts off. It's just the environment, and if we, you know, I mean, we have to encourage that type of environment to continue to rob those countries of their riches. You know, and then the lack of education they have. Of course, you know, if you don't have any understanding of your surroundings or human life, you know what I'm saying, except for, you know, seeing war, then that's what else do you know? So I don't know. Maybe I'm just don't want to believe that people could fall into such a propaganda where they'll just, you know, basically go like they did in Haiti or Jamaica when the British was there, and they had like, you know, like the native Jamaicans that are black fighting each other over who's going to run, which white guy's going to run the country, which is asinine that we could even not see the big picture of what's really, you know. And a lot of it is that we don't have the information. We get disinformation, and we get disinformation, I hate to say it sometimes, you know, through the church, you know, you know, you get misinformation through the news, you know, i.e. Fox. You get you know, like Fox saying that a place, some town in London was all taken over by police that were all Muslim and would, you know, beat up people that wasn't wearing the Muslim attire. Just, you know what I'm saying? But see, the thing is now, like going back to the global idea, now that we're more global, even in the media, you know, some of this, you know, our politics and some of, you know, like especially with the Republicans, sort of humiliating when they go to other countries and talk the same thing they talk here. You could talk the same, you could talk, you know, you could talk that ignorant racist stuff here, you know, the misinformation, and just lie, you know, because a lot of people are like sheep, you know what I'm saying? Like the police are sort of like sheep. They just, you know what I mean? If they could get away with, like in New York, with, you know, like, you know, killing somebody, then they just all go along that line, and they're not paying attention to where they're going, which is a cliff, you know. Which I say, let them go, fuck them. You know, get out of the way. You know what I'm saying? And then another thing with the Middle East and stuff like that. You know, with the globalization, you know, like one of the things they do is, the first thing is try to jeopardize women. So the ways people actually are socialized to begin with sort of contradicts, and, you know, the whole, you know, I mean, it's not something that they will be able to digest, is, you know, our Western way of thinking or anything like that, for the simple fact that they are not getting any education except for war. Because if they, you know, you can see what the way they do with the women. As soon as, you know, like Bush, is it Nigeria or somewhere, where they just kidnap the women, and other places they mutilate the women by removing certain parts of their clitoris or the whole thing, you know, because they're worried about women having orgasms. They think that's going to stop them from having sex early. But the only problem with that is that it's, you know, women are smaller and more petite than men. So even if you remove something like that, what's gonna, you know what I'm saying? It won't stop her. Yeah, maybe she'll, you know what I'm saying? Even with in regular sex with a man, most women don't, you know, have orgasm anyway. In a lot of the sense, a lot of times guys to prolong theirs, you know, they stop the woman, and then she never gets a chance to have one anyway, because, you know what I'm saying, all the games and everything they see on X-rated stuff. It's just a way that if they could get them to have half their women like really jeopardized in such a way that they're not in their politics, they're not in part of their planning or thinking, so you have half the population out of the way, and the women raise the kids, so yeah, you're going to have some very hostile, suicidal kids because, if they was just, the mom was kidnapped and raped, she don't like the man, she's not going to like the child, especially if you know what I'm saying. And it's not no fault of hers if she's been tortured and beat and parts of her body being removed just so she could just be, I don't know. But the other thing about globalization is that how it's affected the United States, like with Walmart's, Target, the Dollar Store, Kmart's, and all these stores. They get all their stuff from India, China, Indonesia, and these other places. These people maybe make $35 a month, maybe on the higher range $45 a month, working in these factory jobs. There's no way we're never getting those factory jobs back here. There's no way. If anything, by the time that, like with the politics, especially with the Republicans, and you can look at the Fox, with their ways of thinking, like we're going to get rid of this, we're going to get rid of food stamps, we're going to get rid of welfare, we're going to get rid of Social Security. Probably while we're all still getting it taken out of our paychecks, and they, what I'm saying, but their boss is not going to be paying any taxes over, anyway, because they're going to have their shit out overseas. But, what I'm saying, so then we're going to be looking like Russia, but worse. And another thing is our educational system is so low compared to the rest of the world. We can't compete against Germany. We can't compete against Japan or China, Switzerland, Norway. We can't compete because our education system is whacked. You know what I'm saying? And if they go with more to, taking more money out of schools to try to privatize it, or you know what I'm saying, or because of our privatizing our jails and our prisons, that we need to filter, these states, like, they made agreements, and so they need to keep it 90%, so that, so like already the failed school thinks they're going to have to fail some more, so then where we have a 70% of children coming out that are, well, maybe not 70%, but where we have a large percentage of the kids coming out of high school, that, the ones that actually do graduate, opposed to the ones that drop out. And they're not dropping out to get factory jobs or because, the draft is in and they're going off to Army or something. No, it's because the education and the way they're treated to go into the school is so dehumanizing and so degrading that the kids are uncomfortable. The policies are those that doesn't allow the children the freedom to think, so they don't make those mistakes. And then if you homeschool your kid, if you're a parent that you have an IQ of 80 or 90, what are you going to really be able to teach your child? If you have money, you could get tutors, or you could send them to a private school. But, there's, I don't know anybody with an IQ under, like, 100 that is making the big bucks. I just don't. I'm sure there are. I don't know where, and there's some jobs that are physical, like construction or anything, and, and you gotta know something in constructions, or it could be not only dangerous but deadly, but also, blueprinting. But there's so many other choices that we can take our children to. You know what I'm saying? There's other, if we're gonna be the lead the world, but we're way behind in education, And the reason why we're behind in education is because you can't have anything like Farrison if you have a because the police, wouldn't allow their learning to be retarded by misinformation if you have the whereabouts, how to find the information that you need, because it's everything that you can find information. Even if you don't have a computer, you could probably find it just as best, or you could find it just as well, if not better. Anyway, but I think the main thing with the globalization is, for some reason, it seems like people that could enter, like the real terrorists is when we have people that come in other countries and realize they can make money off of the racism here. When they could fester up, certain groups and whatnot. You know what I mean? But I'm not worried about no terrorist attack on the United States. I really ain't. Because the last one in Boston, they was raised here. Who knows what type of bug was put in their ear, and that's another thing with the education system. They're like, how do we stop these kids from being terrorists? Well, if we're failing a majority of our kids in the school system, then you should expect. I'm surprised there's not more shootings going around anyway. I'm just surprised, I'm just surprised white folks, because what I'm saying, the NRA is like, we need more guns, what I'm saying, but if a white person has it, it's yay, they're a hero, but if a black person has it, you'd be terrified, and they're criminals, and, they violated some gun law. So it's not like anybody from outside, of the United States looking in sees anything fair, justice, or balance, or what they do see is that slowly our politics is being allowed to be governed by a small group of individuals whose idea of making money is off the suffering of other people, which I think that's the grievous era. I think in the past, you can look at the past and see, yes, they were cruel, and people died and were maimed a lot working in the factory, especially at the turn of the 20th century. And so what I'm saying, and here in the United States we have better work conditions. They don't have that in those other places. They could cut corners by, just like in India, they just have so many people. If few people, like buildings collapse, a major fire in a factory, whatever, they just build up another one, and they'll have it filled up with workers in no time. Children as young as 9, maybe younger, start working in factories. So, and we have child labor laws here. So, and I don't, saying, so I think that we're trying to hold on to ideas from 400 years ago and trying to make it into this century. And the only problem is that we don't have, even if we send if our men all had to go out to work, like they did in the World War I, and we had the women that, really held it up, then gave up their jobs, and the men, failed miserably, because, every time you do it, you gotta fall, in income for, the women, what I'm saying. But nowadays, it doesn't behoove our country to have women making less and doing the same job when we are the ones raising the kids. The men are not. And I don't see any change in the way, because the men, the children are around men that think it's okay for them, you know, like just to hang out with the boys, watch football all day, look at X-rated things, and you know, when they get their paycheck, go to the titty thing. So like, you know what I'm saying, between their job, keeping up with the boys, the sports, and being you know, keeping up with propaganda about the men have to have sex with everything and everything, you don't have time really to teach your kids. What are you going to teach them? You know, that your mom's a whore because, you know, every woman you see is a whore. You know what I'm saying? I hear guys talking about that. She ain't just a whore. You know what I'm saying? Even, you know what I'm saying, that makes the kid real sensitive. Don't talk about my mom when somebody else is mentioning, because in the back of their mind, if dad only fucks whores, you know, when they find out, like, oh, well, that's how you have babies, after they have, like, their second one, they're like, oh, yeah, I mean, usually the guy, click, oh, yeah, that's how I do it. Bitch trying to ruin my life. So, we do, I don't know, I'm so disenchanted right now with the way the politics are going. We all know that Jeb Bush is going to win. Because but, you know what I'm saying, I don't see anybody else coming up, and, like, I don't even see anybody being pushed out in the Democrats. So, you know what I mean, he's got the money, he's got, you know what I'm saying, and so I don't even know, like, I'm about so just disenchanted. I'm like, why should we vote anyway? You know what I'm saying? Because, like a couple of years back, Fox made the whole voting thing sound like a fucking joke, because they're trying to say everybody's, you know, stealing votes and going in there. I don't know anybody that use somebody else's name. All you have to do is so many places that you can register to vote. They ask you for your driver's license and all this stuff when you register to vote. Usually when you, and I've always, like, when I go up to the voting thing, they always check to see if that you're in the, you know, like, they always go, like, even before that shit, check to make sure you're in the right place to vote. Can you vote here using your driver's license? Next thing you know, you gotta have identification. When you got your voter's registration card, they check it when you go in, but that's not enough. You gotta have, because I was seeing something that had some guy in Florida, big old, huge, white guy that looked like, you know, like he had an IQ about 80, and you know what I'm saying, and he was pretty much blocking this very huge black lady that was trying, you know, that was wobbling, had swollen ankles, and, you know, really couldn't walk, had all the symptoms of a lot of women around here, unfortunately, you know, have those problems, you know, and it's a shame, and I don't know why we have so many, like diabetes and other health problems. So, anyway, we live in a globalized world where we're dependent on our supplies coming from overseas, and it's just like the main thing that's going on here is that we are the consumers. That's all we're here for, is to consume. But if we don't get jobs to where we can continue to be consumers, or we have politics like the GOP is coming out that is blocking growth, is blocking you know what I'm saying, because they already have money. You know, I know people in New York that are not in, you know, like on TV or anything like that, make $310,000 a year. You know, so their idea of what's really going on with people that make $7 or $10 or $22, they really can't comprehend. You know, like, what are they complaining about? Because, like, you know, they just don't comprehend. You know. And then, like, it's just like and they're the ones that, like, you know, like, they're not buying, like, the $200 sneakers, you know what I'm saying, they're buying nice sneakers, you know, around 60 maybe, you know, dollars or whatever, you know, anywhere from $40 to $60, but then I don't even see them going overboard, like, with 70, you know what I'm saying, they wear very nice clothes, and, like, I know this one girl, I'm like, you don't even you tell me you don't care about fashion, but you're always in fashion. She goes, that's because, like, you know, I'm able to, you know, get 1 or 2 new outfits every year and still cling on to my other favorite stuff, and it looks, you know what I'm saying, because it's nice quality. But she's able to buy designer stuff and get designer stuff wholesale. You know, she goes to certain places and like say like the Oscars, and they got free little baggy things they get to pick out. So you know what I'm saying, she goes all the freebies, she does all that. So you know what I'm saying. So they can't, you know, they can't comprehend. So to them, like, oh well, you're going to the food bank to get some free food, you know, like to them it's like the same thing as, oh, I got my swag bag, you know, at the Oscar in their mind, but it's not the same because they haven't missed a meal. Anyway, good night. It's Monday.